Hello, friend. This is Ryan Hicks of TalkToProfit.com, and today I want to talk to you about how many limitations in life, if not all, are self-caused, and they are from your perceptions and your beliefs, not reality. Now, this may be hard for some people to understand because they're just so locked into this time-based reality and believing that everything's happening against them and to them, and they have no control and things like that. But I'm going to give this simple illustration. I've used this before, but it's such a perfect illustration of what really goes on. Years ago, I had a number of dogs. They were all from the same family. There was a father and then his sons, and sweet dogs, Chinese crested. And one day a storm came through. It knocked down one of the fence panels, and the father and two of the sons went running around the neighborhood like crazy. Now, they're sweet dogs. They're friendly dogs. Everybody loved them. No big deal. Except they were loose, and there's dangers out there potentially to them, being on the road and stuff. But my neighbor was a quiet, small little neighborhood, so they were relatively safe. But one of the dogs just stood there, and he would go up to the fence line. Where the fence used to be, it's now knocked down. He can see his brothers and his dad running around, having fun, jumping up at the tree to catch a leaf, and just doing all this fun stuff. Enjoying life, not being limited at all, but all he could see was that imaginary boundary that had been there for years, and he couldn't get past it. Physically he could, and mentally he could see right over to where they are. He could see them enjoying life, and yet here he is just standing there, unable to move, doesn't understand that this limitation that he perceives is just one of his imagination. It doesn't exist. He's even got his brothers and his dad barking at him, calling him, trying to get him to come over and play, and he just stands there, paralyzed with fear and doubt and uncertainty and apathy, maybe even. I don't know exactly what was going on. He's a dog. But that is the way many people act in life. Well, you don't understand. My family grew up poor, so I can't be rich. They're just putting up imaginary boundaries. Well, you don't understand. This illness runs in my family. Putting up another imaginary boundary. I've even had people tell me, well, I can't go vegan because, my blood type, we need meat. Just an imaginary boundary to keep themselves bound in their evil activities. And people do this with all kinds of things in life. They set up imaginary boundaries that they perceive are there. And unlike in the dog situation where he had a real boundary that was there at one point, so it wasn't just completely imaginary, but once it went down, it was imaginary. Many people have boundaries that never were there. They'll blame, well, I was born in this side of town. I was born on the wrong side of the tracks. I was born this race. I was born this gender. I was born in this country. You don't understand. My family was born rich. Or I was only born to a single parent mother. Just whatever. And there's a laundry list. It doesn't matter. You could find something. Somebody would find a reason to find a fault in it. Well, I was born blue eyes. What? What does that do with anything? But see, there's people that will set up boundaries because of certain things. I've heard people literally say, well, I have brown eyes. If I had blue eyes, I would get further ahead in life. What? You can set an arbitrary limit that, well, blue eyes are more beautiful, so that somehow... You're just making excuses. You're just finding ways to limit yourself. Your eye color is not going to get you far in life if your personality's terrible. And if you're looking at life like that, blaming your failures in life on your eye color, there's no way you have a pleasing personality to go along with that. Because that kind of mentality brings with it a whole host of other self-caused disabilities. I'm not talking about physical disabilities. It's things you're limiting yourself and keeping yourself from doing more in life. But here's the thing. In life, there are people who have whatever you feel is a limitation, something that's hindering you in life. There are people who have that same issue, which probably isn't really even an issue, but you think it is, you've made it to be one, who have had massive success. So you can't use that as an excuse for why you are not where they are. I want to tell you this. I don't want you to believe that you're limited. I don't want you to go through life holding on to some crutch, some lame excuse for why you can't be more, do more, or have more. People today have it so easy. And you can go read some of the biographies of people who were born into slavery in the U.S., for example, and the achievements they had. And then people today of any race not born into slavery, because back in the slavery in the U.S., there were white slaves as well. But any race today in the U.S. has it dozens, maybe hundreds of times better than those people did who were born into slavery. And yet they don't have a tenth of the accomplishments, probably not even that much, probably not even a hundredth of those individuals. Now, why? Well, part of it is because no one's writing a biography of somebody who's a loser. So if they were just failing and mediocre in life and didn't do anything, nobody ever write about them. So part of it is that because they were so successful and so productive, people wrote about them. They wanted to hear about their life story. But here's the thing. They had real limitations that once they were removed, those people were no longer bound. They went out and accomplished everything they wanted to accomplish. And probably accomplished more than they ever could have imagined they could have accomplished because they weren't limited. But people today who have it easy, and they set up all kinds of imaginary obstacles and hurdles and disabilities and limitations and stuff that doesn't exist. My friend, I don't care who you are. I don't care where you were born. I don't care what problem you think you have, or maybe it's not a problem, but it's something that makes other people treat you differently or whatever it is. Because I've heard people say, well, I'm just too smart and so people don't treat me well because they feel intimidated. There's all kinds of excuses. Imagine that somebody's saying that they're limited because they're too smart. And yet people say that. So it doesn't matter what it is. Somebody's finding some excuse for something even that's good or just there's nothing wrong with it, it's neutral. And they're finding a way to use that as an excuse to be limited. You have to snap out of that. I don't care if your limitations that you perceive were real at one point in time. Things that you perceive are limitations may have been limitations at one time. But like my dog I mentioned in the story, they've been knocked down. Jesus made a curse for us. You don't have to live cursed. You don't have to live in lack and limitation anymore. Walk past that boundary. It's no longer there. It's only in your own mind. It's only in your perception. You may have more obstacles than other people. That's all right. Doesn't matter. You can't change your life with somebody else's. So whatever you have, the proverbial cards you've been dealt, you use them to your best ability and do the most you can, because it doesn't matter. There's people who've been so limited and had so many problems in their lives, and yet they accomplished so much. Don't hide behind an excuse. Don't hide behind a perceived limitation. Blast past all those limitations and go forth and become more successful, knowing you can. You are created in God's image and likeness. Don't let people tell you can't do something, or our family's never done this, or our people's never done this, or people from our country, or people from whatever excuse people are using, and whatever they're telling you is keeping you limited. You must cast that all aside. And know that if you have to walk alone, you will walk alone down the path to success and greatness. My friend, you can do it. You're in God's image and likeness. So take up that knowledge, that limitless potential within you, and start becoming the great success that you're destined to be. And start becoming the great success that I know you can be. My friend, I pray this is a blessing for you. May God bless you richly.